at the end between Varys and Littlefinger.
Oh, so we're going to get
right to the end.
Yeah, we're going to get to the top of the climb right away. Okay. Yeah, well, obviously that's why I watch Game of Thrones.
Right, that's what I figured.
Yeah, I love it. I rewound it 5 times.
Yeah, that's about right. I did at least 4, and I had the closed captioning on.
Yeah.
So I could follow exactly what they're saying, but I was still bewildered. But it doesn't matter how bewildered you are. I'm like, everybody be quiet. By the way, no one was talking. Right? Everybody be quiet. This is important. Right.
So that gives you in a nutshell the different views of Varys and Littlefinger. Varys is more practical. I want to avoid the chaos because it gets people killed. It gets your nuts chopped off in the middle of the chaos, right? I mean, that's his practical experience, right?
And what did that, before you continue, what did that remind you of, the notion, because Littlefinger said it's, this is, what is the realm, right? It's a ladder, that's all it is. It's something you climb, it's a manner to get ahead and win, right? But what did that, I'm curious if that reminded, I don't think you'll have the answer that I'm looking for just because Cenk and I are from the same veteran, but that reminded me of something very specifically. Like, it's fake, but we all accept it. It obviously didn't then. I was like, I'm watching this and I was like, Nielsen's. Like, it's the Nielsen. It's the
I
Nielsen.
say like the American dream.
No.
Like
It's much more practical, but it's this idea of something that we all know is total horseshit. But we all sign off on it and then operate our whole lives as if it's something incredibly real and tangible.
Yeah, I mean, let alone Arbitron. I mean, the radio ratings are total illusion.
Yeah.
But anyway, so meanwhile, Littlefinger sees it from his perspective, and for him, it's, hey, it was chaos, and I thrived in the chaos. Thank God for the chaos, because if there was just order, well, then I couldn't have moved up. Right, I couldn't have gone up the ladder because there's the lords and I'm not a lord. There's the nobility, I'm not nobility. So he's like, hey, the chaos has been good to me. I love climbing. And if you don't, in essence what he's saying is you're a pussy.
Right.
Okay.
And chaos is actually, in a sense, then fairer.
Yeah, in a sense.
Right. There's an equalizer to chaos.
Yeah.
Right? It's unfair. It's unfair to some people.
Yeah, I love that
It's unfair
scene
to the
because
weak, in his view.
They had the talk just like one episode ago about Varys saying that he thinks Littlefinger is one of the most dangerous people in the realm, and we hadn't really seen Littlefinger being dangerous since maybe he betrayed Ned Stark or something like that. So it was good to see him willing to throw like one of his former confidants and employees to Joffrey in a particularly brutal scene. Like Varys had been talking about how, I still enjoy Littlefinger. Like we have our little like back and forth, but Littlefinger doesn't see it the same way. Like he was going for blood.
It's like, and also Varys should know now that if it suits Littlefinger, obviously Varys is dead. So I'm just curious though why Littlefinger doesn't strike me as a guy who, and I'm sure you probably both disagree, but it doesn't strike me as a guy who would have survived. Like
Littlefinger?
Yeah, because I don't see he's not particularly charming. He seems dangerous to a lot of people who would think, and who do you offend by killing him? Do you think, do you suspect he's got his band of spies who's going to be particularly loyal? After he's killed, they'll be like, no, I'm done with that guy, and I got to find somebody else to pay me.
Yeah, I guess they were afraid of two things, and that's why he attached himself to these two things. One is information, so his network of spies, so he has things on people, right? But you're right, once you kill him, he no longer does, right? But also money. Remember, he was master of the coin, which is enormously important. If you're not born of the, of nobility, etc., in whatever time period, right? You weren't born in the right family, go for the money, right? Money brings power.
Totally, but again, then he could have been master. He's only master of the coin because somebody else wasn't master of the coin. If he stopped being master of the coin because he got his throat cut on Monday morning, then, after lunch on Monday, Dave Williams is master of the coin.
But I think that people like the king and that the power around the throne wanted to keep him around because he supposedly had this ability to finance all of their expensive habits, even though apparently he wasn't actually doing it.
They thought he was magical with money, right?
But it turned out he was just borrowing it.
Right. Well, that's at least some explanation.
Right. To me, I have the same question about Varys. Why doesn't Littlefinger, before he gets on the boat, just slice Varys' throat and be like, I'll see you later? Who's going to defend? Who's going to care about the eunuch, right? So he's smart and he helps the head of the king.
Robert wouldn't have stood for that. But Joffrey doesn't care. Joffrey wouldn't care if those guys killed each other.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't think...
and Tywin doesn't care either.
Tywin doesn't care, right? And So yeah, I think your point is better on Varys, and I'm surprised he survived, especially after screwing over Littlefinger many, many times, especially the last one, which he cared so much about. And you got a sense in that scene too that Varys was like, "Oh right, this guy is more powerful than I am, and more dangerous. I better watch myself."
Right.
Right.
But Varys is probably smarter. So he might.
Yeah, but they're both pretty damn smart.
So just to go over it, partially, I'm going to say, so people watching understand, but mostly so I understand. So what Littlefinger, how Varys screwed Littlefinger was by keeping Littlefinger away from Sansa, by warning Sansa about Littlefinger through Raz.
Right. And arranged the Loras
Trying to arrange
Sansa marriage
Through
so
Lady
that
Olenna.
Sansa would not run away with Littlefinger.
Right. So that Sansa would stay and not run away with Littlefinger. And Littlefinger wanted Sansa because that to him was his key to the north.
Yeah, and it was twofold. One, you get the key to the north, and that's going to help you set up your empire once you get on the throne, yada yada. And number two, he always loved her mom, and she looks like her mom, and he's like, "This is an awesome twofer."
Younger version.
Yeah, younger version, like back when I loved her. Right?
Yeah,
Perfect.
Exactly.
But Littlefinger's response to that was just to, he wasn't able to get it back, obviously, because the Lannisters got in the way. And then so he just killed Ross out of spite, but Varys is actually bothered by that.
Yeah.
We think, a little.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I like Varys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a humanity to him. And
Which makes you think that scene with him and Ned, where he came to help Ned, which at the time, you don't know whether when he says, "I'd like to help you, but I just can't," now you think in hindsight, he wanted to help him, but obviously it was too late. He couldn't help.
I think it's twofold. I think that one, he's mad that Raz is killed because I think he felt some sort of genuine connection to Raz, and he's not as heartless as some of the other people operating in the Game of Thrones. But I think also it's a representation of his inability to protect people he thinks he can protect. Like Littlefinger said, the woman who was under your protection. And like you said, he found out that he's not as powerful. That's a very real demonstration of it, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then I thought one of the great parts of that scene was that as the Tywin Lannisters and the Tyrells, etc., think they were in charge, it was actually a game between Varys and Littlefinger. Like all these things that they thought they were doing, in fact, Varys planted the Loras Sansa thing in the first place, and then Littlefinger planted the marriages of the Lannisters to the Tyrells. So they're playing the game, and others think like, "Ha man, look at this great idea I came up with." No, you didn't.
But I got it. But who wouldn't come up with that idea? I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they're not. Those aren't super sophisticated ideas.
Well, I mean, look, it's all good ideas seem obvious in hindsight, right? But it's not obvious that you would have had the Gimp marry. Can I call him that or no? Tyrion. Like, what do they call him derisively?
The Imp.
The Imp. Thank you. Sorry, not the Gimp.
I was like, I don't think. Yeah.
We're in Pulp Fiction all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, the Imp was Sansa. It's not super obvious.
But it's a good idea.